Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Wajaha and today I wanted to show you kind of some of the updates happening with Terra. I'm sure most of you are aware of what's happened, but Do Kwon has actually spoken a couple of days ago and just wanted to kind of show you what he said, what the kind of proposals are at the moment and how things are going to move going forward. So let's just get straight to it essentially. So I thought I'll share first of all kind of what he said. Do Kwon, for those of you who don't know, he's the main guy within Terraform Labs, the main guy who created UST and Luna, and yeah, this is what he said. So over the last few days, he's been on the phone calling lots of community members, family, friends, employees, and whatnot, and he says that he's devastated, he's heartbroken. But I think what's more important is, how are we going to fix this and how things are going to move forward from here. So he says, first of all, that he still believes that decentralized economies deserve decentralized money, but it's clear that UST in its current form will not be that money. So he's clearly said that UST is over pretty much. The next thing that he says is that neither himself or any of the institutions he's affiliated with have profited from this incident, and that he himself has sold no Luna, nor has he sold any UST during the crisis. Now, this is something interesting. We are currently working on documenting the use of the LFG BTC reserves during the depegging event. So maybe they have used it all, maybe they've used some of it only, maybe they haven't used it at all. I don't really know what's happened exactly, but I guess we'll find out what happened with their Bitcoin reserves. Now, anyway, what I think is interesting is to just kind of look at the revival plan. So let's have a look and see what Do Kwon said. So this was 2 days ago. So there's been several community and validator groups discussing launching a fork of the Terra chain to make the ecosystem whole from the UST depegging event. So here's his perspective. It says, as of this time, there's still several $1 billion worth of UST, and the value of the Luna token has fallen to essentially zero. Even if the peg were to essentially restore after the last marginal buyers and sellers have capitulated, the holders of Luna have so severely been liquidated and diluted that we will lack the ecosystem to build back up from the ashes. And I totally agree. UST and Luna in its current form absolutely destroyed. Luna has been diluted to such an extent that there's no trust in the system at all. And he said that himself, USD has lost too much trust with its users to play the role. So I'm pretty sure that in its current form, there's no way that they can kind of recover this. So, he said that Terra Station has been fantastic. They've built a lot of very vibrant developer ecosystem, some of the best user interfaces, user experiences, strong brand recognition. So those are the kind of things remaining within the ecosystem that's probably worth preserving if possible. So here's what Do Kwon recommends. The Terra community must reconstitute the chain to preserve the community and the developer ecosystem. And validators should reset the network ownership to 1 billion tokens. And this is how the 1 billion tokens will be distributed. So 40%, so 400 million, will go to the Luna holders before the depegging event. That will include, derivatives of Luna like B Luna, Luna X, and, Luna held in contracts should also get some of these, except for the Terraform Labs account. So the Terraform Labs account won't get any Luna, but previous Luna holders should get 40% of the Luna supply. Okay. An equal amount, so another 40%, will go to the UST holders at the time of the network upgrade. Now, I don't actually know when exactly the network upgrade happened. I'm not sure if that happened after the depegging event, but we'll have to kind of wait and see about that. So 40% to the Luna holders, 40% to the UST holders, 10% to the Luna holders at the final moment that the chain kind of went down. Okay. And then 10% to the community pool to kind of fund future development. All of this Luna will be staked at Genesis, and the network should incentivize its security with a reasonable inflation rate of let's say 7%. Okay, so he's saying that we're going to reset the network. It's just a proposal, let me first say. Reset the network to 1 billion tokens, 40% going to Luna holders, 40% to UST holders at the time of the chain halting. Now, I don't know when that was. I think that was after UST depegged itself. So we'll have to wait and see. 10% to the Luna holders at the final moment of the chain halt. And then 10% to the community funds. So he says, why does this redistribution make sense? Well, UST holders need to own a large share of the network. Okay. I mean, kind of makes sense, really. I agree with that. I think both Luna holders and UST holders need to be compensated if possible. So, yeah. He lastly ends it with, the future of the Terra network, the rallying cry for the Terra community has always been a decentralized economy needs decentralized money. This is an exciting vision, and while UST has not been successful, the Terra community will find ways of iterating on the idea at some point in the future. But the priority now should be to preserve this amazing ecosystem and to make as many users and builders as possible. Terra should first preserve its layer 1, and the community should gather to discuss decentralized money once the dust has settled. Okay, so that's pretty much what's been said. If you scroll down, you'll see loads of proposals, loads of things and whatnot. Lots of different questions, like what happens to Luna on other networks, and all sorts. So yeah, now I think an interesting proposal that came from that is one via a person called by the name of Fatman, and essentially he's got a different idea altogether. So here's what he says. I think it's really interesting to just have a look at this proposal too. So, hey everyone, I would like to suggest a different repayment system for the first batch of users. The events that unfolded in the last few days have deeply affected us all. Okay, let's just skip this all. It basically says Luna was a blue chip coin and Anchor was the state-of-the-art DeFi protocol. Yeah, I'm sure you guys who are watching know I was a big fan of Luna and a big fan of Anchor protocol, but yeah. So he says, it is clear that Luna cannot be salvaged and will be used as exit liquidity to retain some of UST's peg, which is its purpose anyway. At some level, TFL and the Luna Foundation Guard have a responsibility to get UST as close to $1 as possible. And this will be a tough task given the sheer amount of money that's left to repay. I think when it comes to analyzing stakeholders, we should put the small trader first. Someone I know in my circle committed suicide last night due to the Luna crash. Many people are suicidal, and I'm sure we've all seen the posts online. This is taking a disproportionate toll on smaller investors, so I believe we should prioritize paying them. And he talks about the advantages of paying small holders first. Those being a reduced sentiment impact, given that smallholders make up the vast majority of the community. It will greatly improve the morale and sentiment since over 80% of Anchor users will be made whole. Easier to manage remaining creditors. Most effective use of the funds in the interim. With only $1 billion or $1.5 billion, the majority of affected users in terms of numbers can be made. I think that's a theory known as deontology, but I'm not too sure. Some of you philosophy nerds will know about that. But yeah, that's an interesting proposal. And yeah, this is exactly what the mechanism is. So take a snapshot of all AUST and UST holders on the Terra blockchain at the time of depeg. So yeah, this will stop people from splitting funds into separate wallets after seeing this proposal. And then calculate the amount of money needed to pay out the bottom 75% of users in full. It shouldn't be more than $1 billion or $1.5 billion, given that the top 100 Anchor addresses have over 92% of funds. So I'm not sure of an exact figure, but something like all wallets with 250k AUST or less should be a decent parameter. These addresses can then be added to a redemption whitelist. On the whitelist page, addresses that are on the list should be allowed to swap their amount of AUST or UST directly for either USDC or USDT at a 1-to-1 ratio. Pretty interesting. So yeah, he's made some edits after this. So let's just think about this first. So what this gentleman is saying is that the majority of people within the Terra ecosystem are not whales. They don't have ridiculous sums of money. They don't have 7 figures. Most people are, playing around with hundreds to thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands for a few people, but that's the majority of people. And this gentleman's saying that if we were to somehow able to help those types of people, which is the majority of us really, to basically regain some of their capital, and that it can give the overall sentiment a little bit, it can make it a little bit more positive. It's a way to as an overall, make the maximum number of people whole again. And yeah, that's a pretty interesting proposal. Essentially what he's saying is that the big whales, for them to lose some of their money via Luna or UST, it's not the end of the world for them, because they will often have other funds elsewhere. Whereas for the smaller whales, people who have put in all of their life savings, it's going to be way more difficult for them to regrow. Now, I think it's an interesting proposal. But there's a few little key things that he's also included. So it's only the initial deposits made into Anchor that will be eligible, none of the interest or any of the extra earnings. All forms of UST on Terra would count as the first refund batch, but then basically UST on other services won't be as much. And then the third thing that I thought was really interesting was paying out, instead of just paying out small wallets, we'll pay out all wallets, including whale wallets, up to a set cap per address. This solution seems to be a good balance between including whales and having more money to make smaller players whole. It will cut into the per wallet amount by quite a bit, but it is a more equitable solution and mirrors real world refund setups like FDIC insurance and bankruptcy proceedings. For example, with a hypothetical per wallet cap of $50,000, someone with $5,000 in Anchor would receive the full $5,000 as a refund, and someone with $800,000 would be limited to the $50,000 refund. Pretty interesting. So let's see how it goes. I think one interesting thing would be that, would we have to buy up UST again from the market to kind of redeem it for $1? If so, first of all, that creates quite a lot of buying pressure for UST, and I wonder if that itself would be enough to actually regain peg. Secondly, I wonder kind of how they can do that in a fair way. I think an interesting thing is that, look, he mentions that there's a total of 256k Anchor wallets, and the top 1,000 Anchor wallets own 82% of all AUST. So basically what that means is that 255,000 wallets that have interacted with Anchor have only around 17% of the total UST supply, which is not really much at all, really. The top 10 wallets own 26% of UST. That's such an incredible amount, really. I really wonder how they can actually do this. Secondly, I don't know where this $1.5 billion is coming from. They say that they've currently got about $1 billion in Luna, and they can probably raise the rest within a few months, but I'm not too sure really. How are they going to get that liquidity for Luna? Who's going to be buying that Luna off them? I don't think there's enough liquidity to really sell $1 billion of Luna at the moment, given that its market cap is something similar. So yeah, I'm not too sure really. We'll have to just wait and see. This is the proposal that's got the most interactions, the most upvotes, the most likes. I believe that even Do Kwon himself has, when he tweeted this, he did say, if you click this link, it goes directly to this proposal. So let's see. Let's kind of see what happens. I thought I'd just update you with that. It does seem like the team is working to try and get Terra back on its feet. Time will tell what happens, of course. I'll try and keep you all updated with what's going on. I'm not going to get too excited because I don't think that anything to the level what we had before will ever come back. And I don't want to get my hopes up either. Let's just wait and see. Let's just be patient. Maybe we can get some compensation, but I don't know. I'm not really too excited just yet. Let's wait and see. I think in the meantime, Like I mentioned before, I will just be taking a break. I won't be investing into any particular protocol. I won't be actively doing any research for the time being. We'll just have a small break, and I think shortly after that, I'll be back with regular content. The rebuild, I think what I'm going to do is show you guys my portfolio going from 0 to, I don't know, whatever we can make it to. So maybe I can make that into a series of some sort. If you guys haven't subscribed to my newsletter, then definitely go do that. I'll leave a link in the description, and I appreciate every single one of you who have messaged me, reached out to me, offered support, and genuinely it does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video if you find this interesting, and of course I'll be back with another video soon.